So for this project, you're going to need at least 2 skeins of Bernat Pipsqueak yarn, a size J or 6mm hook, a pair of scissors, a darning needle, and a flexible measuring tape. So I'm using the Bernat Pipsqueak yarn in baby blue, and I did buy mine at Michael's. I didn't see any at Joann's. I purchased the baby blue clay yarn, but it stuck to every dry, like the tiniest dry spot on my hand, so it drove me insane. So I'm going with the Pipsqueak yarn. So to first start, we're going to be making the waistband, and I'm going to start by doing a slip knot. So you have the tail in your right hand and the working yarn in your left, and you're just going to loop them and then drop the tail behind the loop, grab that loop, grab the tail and the working yarn, and just gently pull. So you're going to start by chaining 8. So we're going to be double crocheting, and we will start by double crocheting into the 3rd chain from the hook. So once I get to the end of the row, I'm going to chain 2 and turn. So my chain 2 will act as my first double crochet. So I yarned over and I'm going to double crochet in the 2nd chain from the hook. You should have 6 stitches across, by the way. So you can't really see the stitches that well on camera, but when you're working with the yarn, you can kind of feel them as you're going. So we're going to work this back and forth double crochet stitch until it has a length that will reach from one side of your waist across your stomach or back to the other side of your waist. And I'll insert a little graphic here so you can see what I'm talking about. And when stretched, you want the piece to measure that length. So measure your body first, and then as you go, just like lay out your measuring tape and just kind of stretch the piece. And as long as it matches the length you need, then it should be good to go. So I just finished the waistband, and I did 21 rows, and it equals approximately 14 inches. So now I'm going to start with the body of the top. So over here is my loop that I made. I didn't chain anything yet. I'm going to stick my hook back in, and I'm going to chain 2. And instead of turning and working across this way, I'm actually going to be working across the top. So there aren't any defined holes that you should really be sticking your hook into, but we did 21 rows, and we should make it to have 30 double crochets across. So I'm just going to start. This will be my first double crochet, my chain 2. And then I'm just going to kind of separate the waistband kind of like this and just double crochet wherever I can, but make it even across, so there would be like 15 on this side and 15 on that. And of course, if you're doing a larger size, you would need to do more than 30, but 30 I think would be the base. And you don't want any of them to be too far apart, like this is just like a hole, so I'm going to move that stitch closer. And this yarn is kind of hard to see the stitches on camera. You can kind of see the top a bit more, but when you are working with it, you can feel them as you go with your fingers. So this is what it'll look like when you're done. And this part is pretty easy, just a little repetitive, but we're going to chain 2 for our first double crochet. We're going to yarn over and skip that stitch and then do a double crochet into the 2nd stitch. So now you're just going to double crochet across the piece, and then you'll chain 2 at the end and repeat this first row as many times as you need for it to reach to where your underarm will start. And then we would start the decreases. So I'll put this aside, and on the screen I'll just put a little mannequin right here that'll show you where to measure for this. So my piece measures these areas. So from the waistband to where I stopped, it is about 8 inches. And I believe I did about 10 rows high. So if you're doing my size, you can do 10 rows or however high you want it to be from, say, your waist to your underarm. So once you're done with that, I'll come back here and show you how to do the decreases for the armholes. So this is where I'm at now. This bottom section where this tail is the original waistband that we created. And then this section is the second area that we started. We'll cover the stomach and part of the bust. So now we're going to start with the armhole decreases. And also for reference, I did 10 rows of double crochet here. So we're going to start on the working side. So instead of doing 2 double crochet at the end, like we've been doing, I'm going to wrap my hook like I usually do for a double crochet. I'm going to go in this first stitch, yarn over, pull through 1, and then go into the second stitch, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 3, yarn over again, pull through 2. And now you're going to double crochet across until you reach the last 2 stitches. So I'm at my last 2 stitches, and I'm going to do the same thing. I will yarn over as if I'm going to double crochet. We'll go in the first stitch, yarn over, pull through, go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 3, yarn over, pull through 1. And I also forgot to mention earlier the size of this area. So I will show you now. And I'm just going to omit that last row we just did. So it equals to about 7 inches for the front area, not including the band that we created. With the band and before this first row of decreases, it's about 9 inches and 1/4. So now that we just did the first row of decreases, you're going to repeat that row 2 more times. So for the first round that I just finished, I will now have 28 stitches. The second round, I'll then have 26 stitches, and then the third round, I should have 24 stitches left. So as you can see from the corners, I have completed my 3 rounds of armhole decreases, and I now have a total of 24 stitches across the top. So now we are going to go over how to do the shoulder straps, and we will be doing one side at a time. So we're going to start over here with the working yarn. These straps are going to be about 2 1/4-ish inches wide. So I'm going to start by chaining 2, and that will act as my first stitch. So I will skip this first section right here to crochet into, since the chain 2 is my first double crochet. I'm going to yarn over, place my hook in the second stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And make sure your yarn stays on your hook. Okay, so that's 2 stitches. We're going to do a total of 5, so we have 2 there. So this is how wide, you can't really see it too well, but this is how wide the strap will be. So now I'm going to chain 2, flip my work, and again, since that first chain 2 acts as my first stitch, I'm going to skip it and double crochet into the second stitch and across. So you're going to continue with the double crocheting across your strap for a total of 5.5 to 6 inches. It just depends on your size, but I'm going to insert a little graphic here again, and it just shows where you should be measuring for the strap. And I do recommend just kind of laying this on your body and measuring with the flexible measuring tape from your shoulder line to where the top of the garment is on your chest. So I'm going to finish this strap up, and I will show you how to do the second strap. So this is the finished first strap that I created. It actually is only 5 inches and it is a total of 8 rows back and forth. So now I'm just going to leave a bit of a tail so that it can be sewn together with the other side later. And I'm just going to loop this tail through my last loop and pull it tight. Okay, so now on this other side, I'm going to take my hook and my working yarn, and I'm going to find that bulky last stitch over here, which is this one, and I'm going to place my hook in the stitch, and I'm going to take my tail and just kind of yarn over and pull through, and holding the tail and the working yarn together, I'm going to chain 2. So that'll count as my first stitch, and then I will crochet in 4 more stitches. So once I double crocheted my 4 stitches, I will chain 2, turn my work, and I will start again, just like I did before, skipping the first stitch since we chained 2, and double crocheting the next 4. So I just did 2 rows, and I will do 6 more to match my other side. So I finished everything up, and I decided to seam the shoulders together as well as one side of the top. So I'm just going to show you guys how I seam everything together. So you're going to put the right sides together, which I've already done. So you're going to take your hook, and I'm thinking I'm actually going to start it from the armpit down. So I just flipped it over again. I'm just going to be seaming from the armpit down to the hemline. So I'm going to find my first decrease, which is this. So we're actually going to insert our hook into the row before that, and I'm going to do the same on the back. Yeah, and then just make sure they kind of line up. And then I'm going to take my yarn, and I'm going to, with the tail to the back, I'm just going to hook it onto my hook and then pull through and just make the tail a little bit longer. So now with the tail a good length, I just chained 1. And then I'm going to insert into the next space. So again, you kind of have to feel around for them. But I'm going to go into the next row and then make sure I go into the next row on the back. And then with both the tail and the working yarn, I'm going to yarn over, pull through, and I'm going to pull through that other loop. So we're doing slip stitches. Okay, and then just repeat that again across. And at the end, you really want to make sure you get into that very first stitch on both sides, so it's a nice clean edge. Once you do the last slip stitch, you're just going to yarn over, pull through one more time, and then just leave a little bit of yarn, and pull that pretty tight. Okay, we're going to weave that in at the end. I'm going to flip this to the outside. So you can definitely leave it like this. It's just a really cute tank top, or you can add the bow like I'm going to do. So I'm going to try it on and just kind of measure where I want the bow to start, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I just tried mine on, and you do have to be a little bit delicate with it because it's not the stretchiest stitch. I kind of just measured from where I made the seam for the shoulder, and I measured down 4. So I think I will just do 2 strands of double crochet. So when I was counting, I thought the 4th down was going to be a perfect spot to start the bow. So I'm going to make it thinner than I originally planned, possibly the same length, I'm not sure yet. I just don't want it to get lost in the rest of the outfit. So I'm going to do the same, pretty much the same thing as seaming. So I just made a loop, and then with the tail and working yarn, I'm going to chain 2. And then I'm going to double crochet in the next opening, holding that tail down so it's double crocheted into everything. And then I will chain 1, turn my work over, and I'll double crochet 1 in that first stitch, and then double crochet 1 in the chain 2 at the beginning. Chain 1 again, turn, double crochet 1 in the first stitch, double crochet 1 in the second, and you're going to repeat that until the piece is as long as you want it to be. I will just go ahead and keep working on mine, and when I come back here I'll show you how long I did it and how many rows it is.